The Dinosaur Who Discovered Hamburgers by Addison Books. Scout loved being a dinosaur. Of course, being a dinosaur had its perks. Dinosaurs were able to run faster, roar louder, and were stronger than all the other animals. But the best part of being a dinosaur was that they were all big foodies. They loved going out to restaurants and enjoyed eating different foods. There were lots of dishes to choose from. Sushi, chicken nuggets, pizza, and more. But Scout always felt like there was a great dish that was still missing. Scout decided to go seek it out, and so began the journey. Scout packed binoculars, a magnifying glass, a plate, a knife, a spoon, a fork, and a map. Scout searched far and wide, venturing through treacherous terrain. Scout climbed the highest mountains, crossed the hottest deserts, and waded through the thickest swamps. Scout was exhausted and ready to give up. Just as Scout was about to turn back, a strange forest appeared into view. It seemed the forest had oddly shaped fruit. Scout used the binoculars to look closer. Of course, this was a bread forest. It was filled with bread buns as far as the eye could see. Toasted buns, sesame buns, and brioche buns. Scout grabbed some and continued on. Scout left the forest and entered a valley filled with beautiful flowers. But again, something was odd about these flowers. Scout took out the magnifying glass and took a closer look. It looked like the petals of these flowers were made of pickles. Of course! These were pickle flowers. Scout grabbed some and continued on. Scout kept walking and came across two strange rivers. One river was red and the other was yellow. Scout got close to the rivers and took out the spoon. Scout dipped the spoon into each river and had a taste. One was sweet and one was sour. Of course! These were the great rivers of ketchup and mustard. Overjoyed, Scout packed some of each. Scout continued on and wandered by some large bushes that had a wonderful aroma. Scout reached into the backpack, pulled out the fork and knife, and started to poke into the bushes. Out came a meat patty and slice of bacon grilled to perfection. Of course! These were bacon and patty bushes. Scout now had lots of ingredients and flavors to work with and started to head home, passing back through the rivers of ketchup and mustard, walking again through the fields of pickle flowers, trekking once more through the bread forest, wading back through the thickest swamps, recrossing the hottest deserts, and climbing back down the highest mountains. Scout, finally at home, went into the kitchen and began to plan the meal. Scout tried many different combinations, but none of them seemed right. Then it came to Scout. Of course! Bun, ketchup, pickles, bacon, patty, mustard, and bun. The perfect order for the perfect dish. Now to taste our creation. Scout took a bite. It was good, but still felt like something was missing. So Scout decided to visit Dr. Ham, the smartest dinosaur scientist in town, to see what they could come up with together. Dr. Ham showed Scout the newest technology in food processing. Scout stood and watched Dr. Ham's team toil and tinker with their formulas to come up with just the right addition to the dish. The machines hummed, the beakers boiled, and the gauges whirred. Voila! After the smoke cleared, all the dinosaurs looked upon their creation with wonder. With the new creations ready for tasting, Dr. Ham began official scientific tests. I'll call this red ball with seeds. This one will be named white spicy ovals that makes you cry. This shall be called crunchy green leaves. Scout thought the names were a little long and suggested they name them tomato, onion, and lettuce instead. The other dinosaurs agreed and were amazed at Scout's genius. Scout took slices of the new foods and added them into the dish. Of course! This is what was missing. Scout tasted the creation and knew this was the perfect dish. Scout shared this discovery with the other dinosaurs, who all agreed that they loved this dish. Scout, thankful for all of Dr. Ham's help, decided to name the dish after the doctor. What is your full name, Dr. Ham? My full name is Dr. Hamburgers the 12th. I come from a long line of burgers. It was settled. The new dish would be called the hamburger. All the dinosaurs loved eating Scout's new dish. Even the Velociraptor food guide gave it 6 claws way up. News of the dish spread quickly and everyone had to try it. It was a hit. The dish was so popular that the dinosaurs even made an International Hamburger Day. Even movies were made to show how this amazing new dish was discovered. Scout felt happy and complete. The perfect dish was found and all was right in the world. The end. The Dinosaur Who Discovered Hamburgers 2, Cutting the Big Cheese, by Addison Books. Scout the dinosaur was very happy with the discovery of hamburgers. Ever since that day, Scout had become the most famous dinosaur to have ever lived. Scout appeared on talk shows, in newspapers, and was celebrated by dinosaurs everywhere.
Yeah! All right! We love you!
Thanks for the hamburger!
Yeah!
One day, Scout was sailing to the opening of a new hamburger restaurant on an island nearby when a terrible storm took the boat off course. Scout fought hard to try and keep the boat afloat while the waves threw it from side to side. The heavy rain, crashing waves, and night sky made it difficult to see. Until suddenly, Scout's boat was washed ashore. Scout awoke on a deserted island in an ancient part of the world that had not been explored for thousands of years. The island was full of wonder. Scout grabbed the trusty adventure gear and set off. Scout walked by beautiful sandy beaches, pushed through spiky hedges, and paddled through river rapids. Scout finally reached what looked like a jungle full of trees, but there was a strange smell in the air. Scout picked what looked like some kind of odd fruit, but was surprised that it was actually smelly and gooey. Of course! These were aged cheese trees. Excitedly, Scout tasted it and thought to take a sample of the smelly cheese and continued the adventure. Scout then began to climb a mountain and found all the adventure gear was getting covered with something blue. Upon inspection, Scout realized it was cheese that was covering everything. Of course! This was a blue cheese mountain. Intrigued by this, Scout collected some of the blue cheese and ventured on. Next, Scout found a meadow covered by a gorgeous white shimmer. Of course! These were white cheese lilies. Scout grabbed a bushel and kept going. Finally, Scout stumbled upon a hidden cave with a mysterious glow coming from within. Scout entered and saw a golden wheel at the end of the room shining brightly like a piece of gold. Scout started to walk closer and noticed there were strange markings on the floor. Scout stepped on one. An arrow shot out from the wall and narrowly missed. The room was set with traps. Scout had to avoid the traps and get to the end of the room. Scout got to the end and came up to the large golden wheel. Scout couldn't believe it. The legend was true. Of course! This was the Great Wheel of Cheddar Cheese. It was written about in history books, but dinosaurs thought it was just a myth. Scout cut a piece of the cheese to taste it. Now that was really something, unlike anything Scout had ever tasted before. That melty, gooey, cheesy goodness of the cheddar cheese had to be shared with the world. Scout cut a big round piece of the Great Wheel of Cheddar Cheese and headed back. Scout had a long way back home. Through the cave, through the white cheese meadow, down the blue cheese mountain, past the aged cheese trees, paddling through the rushing river rapids, pushing past the spiky hedges, and walking again along the sandy beaches to the boat. Scout got the boat back in the water and navigated the ship back home. Scout got back into the kitchen and set up a cheese board with all the different cheeses that had been discovered. Scout invited Dr. Cheeseburger, Dr. Ham's cousin, who was an expert scientist in all things cheesy and delicious. They tried all the different types of cheese and took notes about how they taste and what they can be paired with. Some cheeses were better with crackers, some were better with fruit, and some were just better on their own. But Dr. Chi asked Scout to make one of those famous hamburgers everyone loved to test something out. As Scout began to put the ingredients together, Dr. Chi put in a new ingredient into the mix: bun, ketchup, pickles, bacon, cheddar cheese, patty, mustard, and bun. Dr. Chi had cut the cheese without Scout realizing. They both tried the new hamburger and looked at each other in disbelief. It was so delicious that they didn't know what to say except,
"The world needs to try this!"
The next day, Scout went on another talk show and introduced the new hamburger to the world. It became all the rage, and dinosaurs from all around the world had to try this new variation. Upon taking a bite, the critics were amazed by the taste and immediately gave it another 6 claws way up. When Scout was asked what this new burger would be called, Scout said,
"The cheeseburger!"
After all, Dr. Cheeseburger put cheese in a burger. Everyone was amazed by Scout's genius. With the approval of Dr. Chi and the Velociraptor food guide, Scout's discovery became the talk of the town. From that day on, hamburgers with cheddar cheese were enjoyed by all the dinosaurs in the world, and Scout was celebrated as a true culinary adventurer.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Scout!
Yeah!
I love me some cheeseburgers!
You're my hero!
Scout felt happy and complete. The perfect dish was even better, and all was right in the world. The Dinosaur Who Discovered Hamburgers 3: Legend of the Secret Sauce by Addison Books. The air buzzed with revving engines and the aroma of cheeseburgers. The Dino Monster Truck Rally was the biggest event of the year in the dino world. Scout, inventor of the cheeseburger, was there to make sure the most important cheeseburger he had ever made was prepared perfectly. He was making a cheeseburger for the king of dinosaurs, King Rexcellent. The king, seated in his royal tent, was a fan of both monster trucks and Scout's cheeseburgers. It was a perfect day and he was eagerly awaiting his meal. Scout served his perfectly grilled cheeseburger to the king, and just as the king was about to take a bite, a royal messenger arrived. The crowd's cheers turned to whispers as the king received an urgent scroll. The scroll held bad news. The kingdom's rivers of mustard and ketchup were drying up. This news threatened the hamburger as we knew it. The king shared the dire situation with Scout and told him there might be a solution to the problem. There was an ancient tale of islands with extraordinary flavors and a legendary waterfall of sauce. The king's great-grandfather, Tyrannosaurus Rex, had given him a medallion that held the secret location of the waterfall. King Rexcellent handed Scout the medallion and said,
"Scout, find the secret waterfall to solve the sauce crisis."
Scout accepted the challenge, ready to complete the mission. He prepared his gear, boarded his plane, and was ready to soar toward the coordinates marked on his old wrinkled map. Scout followed the coordinates on his map to what appeared to be a thunderstorm of clouds ahead. As he passed through the clouds, his compass started spinning wildly. Scout was lost in the thunderstorm and didn't know which way he was heading. He brought the compass up to take a closer look and realized that the dial became steadier when it was near the king's medallion. He tried holding the medallion together with the compass, and the compass immediately became steady and pointed in a specific direction, almost like it was being summoned. Scout emerged from the clouds and saw 1,000 islands clustered together in the ocean below. Could this be it? Could these be the legendary islands of sauces? Scout flew over an island that was very green and noticed the green was moving, almost like it was a sauce. It smelled sweet, so Scout swooped in and grabbed a taste. Of course! Sweet flavor and hints of pickle. This was the legendary relish jungle. This was a bit too sweet for a hamburger, so Scout carried on. Scout saw what looked like a white beach and thought it looked unusual. As he got closer, he saw it was not sand at all, but a thick paste. He grabbed a bit to taste. Of course, this was the legendary mayonnaise beach. Scout thought it would be a bit too creamy for a hamburger, so he continued on. Scout flew towards an island with a cove that was covered in black rocks. He was starting to get the idea that each of these islands had different legendary flavors. He swooped in and immediately sneezed.
Achoo!
Of course! This was the legendary Pepper Cove. Scout still felt he was getting close, so he continued on. Scout continued to fly over each island and found different ingredients, but nothing that would be a good addition to the hamburger. However, he noticed that the waves from each island were mysteriously flowing toward one in the middle. Scout flew over the island and saw a big rock formation but no waterfall. He landed to take a closer look. As he approached the rocks, he saw something that looked to be the shape of the medallion. He placed the medallion in the opening and voila! The waterfall started flowing down. It had a creamy texture, tasted a bit sweet and tangy, had a little bit of spice to it, but the flavors blended very well together. Of course! This was the legendary secret sauce the king had told him about. Scout collected as much of the secret sauce as he could and jumped in his plane. Scout flew back past, well, he flew directly back home. Scout called the two smartest dino scientists he knew, Dr. Ham and Dr. Chi, to help with the legendary sauce from the 1,000 Islands. They helped him mix, taste, and refine the mysterious sauce until at last they found the perfect balance. The legendary sauce was unlike anything they had ever tasted. It was tangy yet sweet, rich yet refreshing, complex yet utterly satisfying. Dr. Ham and Dr. Chi came up with what they thought was the perfect name to describe it. Creamy, tomatoey, relishy, tangy, twisty sauce. Scout thought the name was a bit too long and suggested they name it 1,000 Island Sauce instead. Dr. Ham and Dr. Chi were amazed at Scout's genius. Word of Scout's new creation spread like wildfire. Dinosaurs from every corner of the land went to his hamburger stands to taste the legendary sauce. The stands were so busy they had to rush to get customers in and out. Scout looked around at the happy faces and thought,
Of course! This is what it's all about!
The king took a bite of this new hamburger and announced the crisis was solved. For the first time in history, he gave a food 2 thumbs up. The Velociraptor Food Guide awarded it an unprecedented 12 claws up. It was so good they had to use the claws on their hands and feet. The tale of Scout and the Thousand Island sauce became a legend, passed down through generations. It was a story of courage, curiosity, and discovery. Scout felt happy and complete. The hamburger was saved and all was right in the world. Never Let a Dinosaur Scribble. Written and illustrated by Diane Alber.
I recently got a pet dinosaur. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. And everyone keeps telling me, never let a dinosaur scribble. Why would anyone say such a thing? I mean, dinosaurs are so strong and powerful. So why can't they scribble? I thought if I gave him just one crayon, what could go wrong? Well, I'll tell ya. He took off running toward the wall. We don't scribble on walls. Only paper, I yelled. Thank goodness my dinosaur has a short attention span. Just before he was going to scribble on the wall, he noticed a couple of stones instead. He started to scribble on one of the stones, which was great. But there was just one problem. He really couldn't see the scribble at all. I could tell he had another idea. He went to grab the paint. This wasn't going to end well. But surprisingly, it didn't make as big of a mess as I thought. He just quietly painted his little stone, and it turned out awesome. But then he got another idea. He wanted to paint dinosaur-sized stones. It didn't take long before he was rolling boulders into the room, one after another. It had become the biggest rock pile I had ever seen. And the way he painted the rocks was truly extraordinary. But you couldn't see my floor or my bed anymore. I had to find a place for this rock pile and quick. Then I heard a noise down the hall. This was it. I was going to be in so much trouble. I popped my head out of the door. My mom was standing right there. Before my mom could say anything, I started to explain the mess she was about to see. Well, it all started when I heard to never let a dinosaur scribble. But I had to find out why. So I gave my dinosaur a crayon, and then he ran toward the wall with it. Thank goodness he got distracted with some small stones and started scribbling on them instead. But he couldn't see the scribble at all, so he got some paint. He loved it so much that he got bigger stones, giant ones even, and it made a big mess, and I'm sorry. My mom peeked around the corner and smiled.
You didn't make a mess. You made some spectacular stone art.
When I turned around, there was just a little pile of stones on my table. No huge boulders and no gigantic rock pile. but still some of the best art ever. All this time, people wanted to stop dinosaurs from scribbling. It could be because they try and draw on walls, or make a gigantic rock pile. But if my dinosaur had never scribbled, he would never have learned how to make this amazing stone art. So the next time you hear, "Never let a dinosaur scribble," just remember, all great art starts with a scribble. And even dinosaurs have to start somewhere.
Dinos Love Donuts. Written by Ben Okon. Illustrated by Kamal Sharma. Dinos do love donuts. Did you know that in your no-nut? You might think my mind has blown, but you should watch these dinos go nuts. They dip donuts deep in jelly, stack some sprinkles on their bellies, raise the glazed ones on bar bellies, crunch on cake crumb till they swelly. Why are they obsessed, you say? 'Cause holy food is good for prey. It helps see danger far away while dishing up sweet dough all day.
It's a great day to be prey.
But that's not all that dinos like. The holes fit great on horns and spikes. For those with arms like little tykes, a stick can reach, no need to pike. I can't bend that far. It's a donut. Just grab a stick. These dinos do love one thing more than donuts, if I might. They love to dance from dawn to dusk and all throughout the night. Triceratops try tango since the tri-step is too trite.
Yep, tango is way better.
And the raptors rep the rumba with a rhythm razor tight. The Stegosaurus stepsosaurus all around the Danceflorus. Brontosaurus swings before us, dips and whirls all through the chorus.
I heard Pterodactyl got kicked off the dance team. Yeah, he kept winging it.
Why do dinos love to dance? Because they are so big. The steps they take make palm trees shake and wiggle with their jig.
Your tree is wiggling too much. Don't be a sore loser.
Their footprints make great pools to splash. No need for them to dig.
Are you clean yet? Yep, I'm extinct.
Their dances make the dust float round their heads like wacky wigs. The dinos' big old bellies mean they like to eat a lot. They'll wait in line all day at D's.
Come get 'em while they're hot.
I'm hungry. The wait is worth it for D's Donuts, trust me. We've got all the time in the world. By the time it's time to dance, their jumbo tummies turn to knots. That's why the biggest donuts are the ones that hit the spot. Hey kid, you made a donut for the dino dance tonight? That donut is a doozy. Wow, it must be record height. You sure did pay attention, friend. You truly are all right. The dinos will all love it. Let's go dance all through the night. Friend, I have to ask you one more thing before we roll. Where exactly did you hide that giant donut hole? Dinos hate the centers. Yep, the outsides are their goal. The centers look like rocks, which scare the dinos to their souls.
Ah!
Yes, the dino's greatest fear is of the horrid, gruesome rock.
Run!
it! If a rock is on the dance floor and it's stepped on, it's a shock.
Ow!
And if a dino eats one by mistake, it might just knock that dino's teeth out of its mouth until it screams out,
Holy fiddlesticks!
"You brought the hole? Let that thing roll! Let's push it down this grassy knoll." The dinos, they must never know. Okay, we're holeless, now let's go.
I just love this rockless party.
And these donuts are quite nice.
That song, it was so catchy.
Yes! Why don't we dance it twice?
A rock! It's in the sky! Let's run or we'll get hurt! Splat! Why is it that this rock tastes like a jelly-filled dessert?
Did you see T-Rex get T-Wrecked?
Open wide!
Delicious.
Friend, you helped the dinos overcome their greatest fear. They're making all that noise for you. A great big dino cheer. I bet they won't run scared the next time big rocks are too near. And I'm sure that you'll be welcome on their dance floor every year. A Dinosaur Made Me Sneeze. A rock cycle adventure. Written by Carla Mae Jensen. Illustrated by Natasha Kostovska. There are facts about the rock cycle throughout the book, so feel free to pause the video and read them together.
A sniff in my nose, a sniff, sniff, and achoo! And the dust and the wind and the air, they all blew! And my mom and my dad and my grandma McHook all pursed up their lips and they gave me a look. I knew it was loud and the spit went too far, so before they could speak, I sang out like a star. I know you don't like to see snot on your cheese, but an ancient old dinosaur made my big sneeze. Their eyebrows went up and they wanted to speak, but I started my story because it's unique. It was millions of years before you heard my big sneeze, when a Tyrannosaurus was stomping through trees. And the dust that he made was so light it could fly on a wind to a river that traveled nearby. Then it flowed to the ocean and sank to the land, and was buried by sea and compacted by sand. While the dust was below that big oceany ground, new bits of bright crystals soon grew all around. The crystals and dust came together to be a cemented stone called sedimentary. I stopped for a breath and my dad had to say,
Now, Martin McHook, do not sneeze in that way.
But Dad, I said, dinosaurs don't even know. He was just having fun in the sun long ago. What began as his dust was now rock buried deep. and the rock would soon change into something quite steep. The rock first felt shaking and Earth made a change. A new set of mountains were building a range. The pressure and heat gave the dust quite a shock. It became metamorphic, a hard little rock. It was buried for years, but the wind worked each day to blow off the bits of the dirt and the clay. Then the rock with the dust was above ground once more. But changes were coming that shook the Earth's core. The rock felt the shaking and heard the wind blow. Its mountain was really a big volcano. As the rock quickly melted and lava made steam, the dust was now stuck in a fiery hot stream. But the dust was not destroyed. It rolled with the change. As it cooled, a development came that was strange. The cooling had hardened the dust and the lava in blocks. Together, they made many igneous rocks. Now, when wind and some rain hit the rocks about right, little pieces break off and then blow out of sight. And only last week, this amazing small dust got blown off the rock by a very big gust. It was blown on Dad's hat by a strong little breeze. Then the fan made it land on my own mac and cheese. Then I smelled my good food and I started to wheeze. The dinosaur's dust in my nose made me sneeze.
Well, Martin,
said Dad with a serious look, but he stopped when a sound came from Grandma McHook. A funny sniff-sniff and a crazy hot-chew, and the biggest wet sneeze ever seen flew and flew. I tried not to chuckle. I looked at the salt, but I laughed when she cried, "It's the dinosaur's fault."
Goldilocks and the Three Dinosaurs, as retold by Mo Willems. As we read this book, see if you can find the hidden pigeons. Once upon a time, there were 3 dinosaurs. Papa Dinosaur, Mama Dinosaur, and some other dinosaur who happened to be visiting from Norway. One day, for no particular reason, the 3 dinosaurs made up their beds, positioned their chairs just so, and cooked 3 bowls of delicious chocolate pudding at varying temperatures.
Oh boy,
said Papa Dinosaur in his loud, booming voice.
it is finally time to leave and go to the, someplace else.
Hee. Yes,
continued Mama Dinosaur.
I sure hope no innocent little succulent child happens by our unlocked home while we are, someplace else.
Har, har! Har, ye fisk! Hugurk!
Then the other dinosaur made a loud noise that sounded like a big evil laugh, but was probably just a polite Norwegian expression. The 3 dinosaurs went someplace else and were definitely not hiding in the woods waiting for an unsuspecting kid to come by. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, a poorly supervised little girl named Goldilocks came traipsing along. Just then, the forest boomed with what could have been a dinosaur yelling, "Gotcha!" But I'm pretty sure it was just the wind. The loud noise was immediately followed by another loud noise that sounded kind of like,
Be patient, Papa Dinosaur. The trap is not yet sprung.
But that could have been a rock falling. Or a squirrel. Either way, Goldilocks was not the type of little girl who listened to anyone or anything. For example, Goldilocks never listened to warnings about the dangers of barging into strange, enormous houses. So as soon as Goldilocks came across a strange, enormous house, she barged right in. Inside, Goldilocks immediately smelled the 3 bowls of delicious chocolate pudding. Said Goldilocks.
That chocolate pudding smells delicious. If only I could get all the way up to the top of that counter.
Then Goldilocks noticed a very tall ladder that just happened to be there, and certainly wasn't left on purpose. Goldilocks climbed up the ladder and found herself face to face with 3 gigantic bowls of chocolate pudding. The first bowl of chocolate pudding was too hot, but Goldilocks ate it all anyway, because hey, it's chocolate pudding, right? The second bowl of chocolate pudding was too cold, but who cares about temperature when you've got a big bowl of chocolate pudding? Not her. The third bowl of chocolate pudding was just right, but Goldilocks was on such a roll by now, she hardly noticed. Soon Goldilocks was stuffed like one of those delicious chocolate-filled little girl bonbons, which, by the way, are totally not the favorite things in the whole world for hungry dinosaurs. Tired and groggy, Goldilocks noticed 3 chairs in the living room, so she climbed down the ladder and walked out of the kitchen. The first chair was too tall. The second chair was too tall. But the third chair was too tall. Goldilocks wasn't going to climb that high just to sit in some chair, so she hiked over to the bedroom. When she got there, Goldilocks noticed that the beds were also gigantically big.
What is going on around here?
Groaned the exhausted girl.
The bears that live here must be nuts.
Just then, the room filled with a loud booming noise that was either a passing truck or a dinosaur gloating.
A few more minutes and she'll be asleep. Delicious chocolate-filled little girl bonbons are yummier when they're rested.
Even a little girl who never listens to anyone or anything had to hear that. Goldilocks took a minute to stop and think, which was longer than she was used to stopping and thinking.
Hey!
She told herself.
This isn't some bear's house! This is some dinosaur's house!
Say what you like about Goldilocks, but she was no fool. As quickly as she could, she ran to the back door and got out of there. Just then, a loud plane flew by which sounded pretty much like a trio of dinosaurs yelling, "Now!" or
Charge!
or the Norwegian expression for
Chili bonbon time!
Suddenly, and completely coincidentally, the 3 dinosaurs rushed through the front door. But they were too late. Goldilocks was gone, and all that was left in the house were 3 disappointed dinosaurs. The end. And the moral is, if you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave. And the moral for dinosaurs is, lock the back door. Tyrannosaurus Hex and the Unluckiest Day Ever. Written by Mr. J. Illustrated by Gary Wilkinson. In a dense patch of jungle with the sun beating down, lay Anda the T-Rex on the ground with a frown.
What happened?
Asked Bull, her dinosaur friend, as playtime came halting to an unwelcomed end. Injured and angry and holding her knee, Anda snorted,
I tripped on the trunk of that tree! There's nothing to question, no reason to doubt. That bad luck always follows when I'm out and about.
She got herself up and brushed herself off, kicking up dust that caused her to cough.
There's an ugly black cloud cloud floating over my head, and I'd be better off staying in bed,
Anda said.
So now what?
Asked Bull, still wanting to play.
It's too soon to go home on such a nice day.
But Anda stayed grumpy and in a bad mood.
I guess we could hit the cafe for some food. A big scoop of ice cream will cheer you right up. Blueberry dream with nuts in a cup.
Anda's mood brightened as they walked down the street, thinking about the great treat she would eat. But the cafe was mobbed with dinosaur kids, and mammoths and turtles and 2 wide-eyed squids, who stood in a line that seemed not to budge, ordering mint chip and chocolate and vanilla-striped fudge. When they finally reached the front of the line, they gasped as they read a very sad sign that stated, to Anda's utter dismay, "We're sorry, but for the remains of the day, we broke our machine that makes fruity cream and are no longer serving Blueberry Dream."
Ooh, more bad luck!
Anda stomped round and snorted, her cheeks burning red and her features contorted.
Come on, let's go home. This Hex is a pain. And oh, look at that! It's starting to rain!
They walked toward her house, getting soaked along the way, as Anda moaned on.
What a terrible day!
Back in her kitchen, they had water and cake, and Anda complained,
I cannot catch a break. This terrible Hex has run all amok and given me nothing but horrible luck.
Bull said,
Getting rid of bad luck is a worthy objective, and it's simply a matter of changing perspective. Let's think about all that has happened today, but let's look at it in a more positive way. You tripped and you fell. It happens to all. At one time or another, we all take a fall. But you got right back up. It could have been worse, so it's hard to believe it was caused by a curse. And the cafe couldn't make your blueberry flavor, but you could have then tried a new flavor to savor. And yes, it was raining and that was too bad, but that's not a good reason to start feeling mad. This day didn't have to be a big dud. We could still have had fun and played in the mud.
His words had made sense. What he said sounded true. Perhaps all she needed was a new point of view. For a while, they stayed quiet so Anda could think, as Bull stood back up and went to the sink.
I'll get you more water. No thanks,
she told Bull.
For the very first time, my glass is half full.
Wee Rex, written by Izzy B., illustrated by Samara Nunez. Every morning, Jane set out on a mission. She passed the coffee shop on 6th, she rounded the corner on 3rd, but she avoided the apartments on 2nd Street. She heard stories about the people who lived there. Aaliyah lived there. Aaliyah was a girl in Jane's class from across the ocean. Jane's friends said they weren't nice people. Jane finally arrived at her destination, the alley where she fed her friends. Every morning she'd pop open a tuna can and the feast would begin. But what was this?
You're an awfully big cat,
Jane said. The other cats were clearly not fond of him, so Jane decided to bring Big Cat home with her. At first, Big Cat was fun. Hiding him from Mom was easy. Big Cat loved to chase. And Jane loved to ride him around.
Let's go, Big Cat!
Life with Big Cat was good, until they went to the museum. That is when Jane realized Big Cat was no cat. He was a little T-Rex,
A wee Rex. And Jane heard they weren't nice dinos. So Jane decided to say goodbye. A week went by. The days felt long. There was no wee Rex to hide from Mom. There was no wee Rex to chase. There was no wee Rex to ride. Jane was tired of being alone. She missed her friend. She missed the fun they had. But then Jane realized something. Wee Rex wasn't anything like the story she had heard. He was nice. He was sweet and kind. So Jane walked past the coffee shop on 6th. She rounded the corner on 3rd, but she still avoided the apartments on 2nd. She popped open a tuna or 12 and got her friend back. Just then, they heard a group of kids playing around the corner. Wee Rex went to see who was having fun. Jane followed close behind. It was Aaliyah. She was playing with her brothers and sisters. They were having a blast. Wee Rex reached out.
No!
Jane yelled.
They aren't nice.
But Wee Rex thought Aaliyah seemed sweet and kind. Jane took a step forward. Aaliyah greeted her. Jane and Aaliyah and Wee Rex played chase. Jane and Aaliyah and Wee Rex played hide and seek. And Jane and Aaliyah even rode Wee Rex.
Go, Wee Rex, go!
That day, Jane decided she'd never assume someone wasn't nice until she took the time to know them. Everyone deserves a chance. Don't be afraid of differences because a good friend or two could be just around the corner. We Don't Eat Our Classmates by Ryan T. Higgins. Penelope Rex was nervous. It's not every day a little T-Rex starts school.
What are my classmates going to be like? Will they be nice? How many teeth will they have?
This was very important. Penelope's mom bought her a new backpack with ponies on it. Ponies were Penelope's favorite because ponies are delicious. Penelope's dad packed her a lunch of 300 tuna sandwiches and 1 apple juice. Finally, the big day came. And Penelope Rex was very surprised to find out that all of her classmates were children. So she ate them because children are delicious. Penelope Rex, said Mrs. Noodleman. We don't eat our classmates. Please spit them out at once. So she did. It was not the best way to start school. Still, Penelope was determined to have a good first day. She tried hard to make friends at recess. She finger-painted some of her best work. She even saved Griffin Emery a seat at lunch.
You can sit here.
Penelope started to notice everyone was making friends but her. It was lonely. When she got home, her dad asked her about her first day of school.
I didn't make any friends,
Penelope cried.
None of the children wanted to play with me.
Penelope Rex, her father asked, did you eat your classmates?
Well, Maybe sort of, just a little bit.
Sometimes it's hard to make friends, said her dad, especially if you eat them. You see, Penelope, children are just the same as us on the inside, just tastier. That gave Penelope a lot to think about. The next day, Penelope tried really hard. But poor Penelope, she could not stop herself from eating her classmates.
Mrs. Noodleman! Penelope ate William Amato again!
And they were all afraid of her. Except Walter. Walter was a goldfish. So Penelope tried to make friends with him.
Will you be my friend?
Chomp! Cried Penelope.
He's eating my finger!
Once Penelope found out what it was like to be someone's snack, she lost her appetite for children. She stopped eating her classmates, even when Cece Woodman spilled barbecue sauce all over herself. And soon Penelope made friends.
Found you! Want a brownie? I helped make them.
Now, even when children look especially delicious, she peeks at Walter and remembers what it's like when someone tries to eat you. And Walter the goldfish stares right back at her and licks his lips. Because dinosaurs are delicious. We Will Rock Our Classmates by Ryan T. Higgins. Penelope was the only T-Rex in her school. Sometimes that made her stand out a little. And sometimes Penelope's classmates didn't see her at all. They just saw a dinosaur.
Want to play cops and dinosaurs? You can be the dinosaur! Well, I was hoping to play dentist. Great! We'll be the dentist, you be the dinosaur! Have you been flossing? William Amato's backpack is stuck in your teeth!
Dinosaur or not, Penelope loved to play. She loved to read. Good night, tasty moose, all wrapped in bologna. Good night, tasty goose, with a side dish of pony.
Ponies!
And she loved to draw.
Wait! I won't eat you! I don't even have any mustard!
But the one thing Penelope loved to do more than anything else was to make music. She loved to sing.
I love to rock and roll!
She loved to play guitar. Penelope loved to rock and roll. So when Mrs. Noodleman told the class about the school talent show, Penelope was excited. She was also nervous. She wanted to rock her classmates. But could she do it? Also, the sign-up sheet was right next to Walter the ferocious goldfish. Penelope took a deep breath. She had to do it. She tiptoed past Walter. Then she quickly wrote her name with her bravest purple marker. After school, Penelope shared the big news with her parents.
And I'm going to wear a pink tutu and big boots and spike my scales and look angry, but I'll actually be really happy. And oh, it's going to be so great!
She hummed her favorite songs while brushing her teeth. She danced all the way to the bus. She even told her classmates about her favorite band, the Weevils.
Best band ever! My dad used to go to all their concerts until he accidentally ate the drummer.
At last it was time for the rehearsal. Can dinosaurs even play guitar? On stage, Penelope froze. She could not sing. She could not play guitar. She worried that dinosaurs could not rock and roll. Penelope was very quiet on the car ride home. She hardly ate anything for supper. Are you sure you don't want more penny pie? You've only had 52 burgers. The next day at recess, Penelope sat alone on the bench. She would not play hopscotch.
I am a T-Rex, not a hopscotcher.
She would not play duck, duck, goose.
I am not a duck or another duck or a goose. I am a dinosaur.
At the end of the day, Penelope crossed her name off the sign-up sheet with her saddest blue marker. When Penelope got home, she went straight to her room. Daddy Rex came in to talk to her. Is everything okay? He asked.
I can't be in the talent show,
she cried.
I am just a dinosaur.
Ah, I see, said Daddy Rex. Come with me. Take a look at this family photo album. This is your Uncle Frank. He was a figure skater. Oh, and here's your mom finishing her first marathon. And here's me, the world hamburger eating champion. I ate 5,053 hamburgers with ketchup. You see, said Daddy Rex, being a T-Rex is only part of who you are. You, for instance, are kind and caring, creative and adventurous, and you can be anything you want to be. The next day at school, Penelope marched back over to the sign-up sheet. She looked straight at Walter and almost lost her nerve. But Penelope's classmates had a different idea.
Can we play with you? In your band? Please, Penelope?
And that gave her just enough courage. On the night of the show, Penelope was really excited and also really nervous. She peeked out from backstage to try and find her parents. When the curtains opened, William Emoto and his amazing animal sounds took the stage. Chirp!
Roar! Tweet, tweet! Honk! Howl! Baroo! Plop!
Mabel Hastings and her dancing pony went second. Then there was the Stegman Brothers synchronized swimming mimes act, followed by Martina Cortez and her dazzling card tricks.
Your card was the 10 of hearts. No? Was it the elephant of spades?
Finally, it was Penelope's turn. The lights on the stage were bright, but not as bright as Penelope.
We are Penelope and the Mustard Seeds!
Penelope was a T-Rex. She was also kind and caring and creative and adventurous. Most of all, Penelope Rex was a rock star. Penelope and the Mustard Seeds came in second place, just behind Mabel Hastings and her dancing pony. That was okay with Penelope. She loved ponies.
Ponies!
We Don't Lose Our Class Goldfish by Ryan T. Higgins. Penelope Rex was 7 feet tall and covered in scales. Other than that, She was just like every other kid. And just like other kids, Penelope had lots of feelings. Some things made her feel sad. Some things made her feel happy. And some things made her feel afraid. For example, she was afraid of what might happen to her mother's back if she stepped on a crack. She was afraid William Emoto might be right about dinosaurs being extinct. But Penelope's biggest fear of all was Walter. Walter never blinked. Walter never talked. Probably because he was a goldfish. And one time, he bit Penelope's finger. No matter which classroom supply Penelope needed, it always seemed to be right next to Walter's bowl.
Scary Things About Walter by Penelope. Menacing fins, unblinking eyes, hungry belly, bitey teeth.
Then one afternoon, Mrs. Noodleman announced, "We are all going to take turns bringing Walter home for the weekend. Mabel, you'll go first."
Gulp.
Penelope couldn't take Walter home. What if he tried to nibble her again? Or turn her into dino nuggets while she was sleeping? The weekend swam by. One by one, her classmates took Walter home.
I took Walter to Jurassic Burgers. Walter and I played hide and seek. I tried to pet Walter.
When the big day arrived, Penelope couldn't pay attention in school. She spilled her juice. She accidentally chewed her pencil, and her notebook, and her desk. All she could think about was Walter. When the school day ended, there was no escaping her weekend with Walter. Penelope tried to do her usual things. When that didn't work, she tried to keep Walter distracted. Distracted goldfish are less bitey. It wasn't going well. And now for tonight's feature presentation, Attack of the Killer Goldfish. Then it was time for bed.
Good night, Walter. Walter? What was that? Walter, is that you?
Penelope decided Walter might enjoy sleeping in the kitchen. In the morning, Penelope bravely went to feed Walter his breakfast, but all she found was a banana lamp. The banana lamp was broken, but at least it wasn't Walter. Wait! Walter! Walter was missing! What would her classmates say?
Walter?
He was her responsibility.
Walter?
She had to find him. She looked high.
Walter!
She looked low.
Walter!
She checked the neighbor's fish pond.
There you are, Walter!
But
You're not Walter! Or you! You're not even a fish! None of you are Walter! And you're a hamster! Walter!
Penelope had to face the facts. Walter was gone. Walter with his thoughtful eyes and graceful fins. His teeth that he didn't even use for biting all that often. Besides, who hasn't wanted to eat a classmate every now and then? Maybe Walter wasn't so scary. Maybe Penelope even missed him.
Things About Walter by Penelope. Graceful fins, thoughtful eyes, jolly belly, bitey teeth that don't bite often.
Then Penelope noticed something. Something fishy.
Walter!
Oh, there's my old banana lamp, said Daddy Rex. I was going to bring it to the donation center, but I see you had other plans for it.
Walter said nothing. He was a goldfish. For the rest of the weekend, Penelope managed to have some fun taking care of Walter.
Good morning, Walter!
She was proud of herself and ready to face some of her other fears too, especially the one about stepping on a crack. Penelope tried it and her mom was fine. Penelope's parents were proud too.
You did a great job taking care of Walter. We've decided you were responsible enough to have a pet of your very own.
Penelope Rex and the Problem with Pets by Ryan T. Higgins. Lots of parents give their kids dogs or cats or guinea pigs or goldfish. Penelope Rex's parents gave her mittens. Penelope was surprised. She didn't even know she wanted a pet. Penelope had talked a lot about ponies, but that was because they are delicious. She wasn't so sure about owning a mittens, but she was willing to give it a try.
Oh, look, he already likes you.
Why don't you take Mittens up to your room and get ready for bed? In Penelope's room, Mittens made himself comfortable.
Mittens, you can sleep down here on the floor.
It was a crowded night in the room up the stairs and down the hall. The next morning, Mittens woke Penelope with a surprise from the garden. Then he wouldn't eat his breakfast. But he would eat everything else, like the trash and Penelope's toys and Penelope's supper. You never really liked baked beans anyway. And no one was quite sure what had happened to the nice lady from down the street.
Has anyone seen Mrs. Phillips today? I was supposed to take her to the airport.
After all that, Mittens got an upset tummy. Luckily, he knew how to use the litter box. But he preferred the bathtub. The truth was, Mittens made everything harder. Sleeping, getting dressed,
Mom! Mittens buried all my underwear in the backyard again!
getting ready for school,
Mittens, let go! I have to go to school! You have to stay here!
being at school,
Attention, students! Recess will be inside today due to a saber-toothed cat on the playground.
and even coming home from school.
I'm home! Oof!
In fact, coming home from anywhere was harder.
Ah! Oh!
After days of mess and mayhem, Penelope was at the end of her rope.
Mittens, no! Mittens, no! No, Mittens! Bad, Mittens, bad!
I'm sorry, Penny Pie. Maybe Mittens is too much for one little T-Rex to handle on her own.
And so, carrying a patched backpack and lots of feelings, Penelope left for school. But that whole day, everything made her think of Mittens. Was he too much for her? When Penelope got home that afternoon, she braced herself.
I'm home! Mittens?
But Mittens wasn't there. He was in the backyard.
I thought Mittens could use some fresh air.
Oh, okay.
That evening, Mittens was not at supper. That night, Mittens was not in Penelope's bed. Penelope couldn't sleep. Her bed was so big. So Penelope crept downstairs.
Hi, Mittens. I'm sorry I yelled. Would you like to... Oh!
It was a cozy night in the Rex family house, especially in the room up the stairs and down the hall, where it was crowded, but just right. Mittens was a lot of work, but he was worth it. And so, with plenty of exercise, loads of training,
Mittens, sit. Good boy.
and lots of family outings,
Hi there, Mrs. Phillips.
the Rex family learned how to be great pet owners. And in return, Mittens learned how to be not quite as much trouble. He would never be an easy pet, but Penelope did not love an easy pet. She loved Mittens.